Hello, this is John Ramsey, and this is My Big Comeback. I have a very special guest today, Panama City Mayor Allan Branch, but you do so much more than that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, you've been mayor almost a year now. By the time this airs, probably will be around a year. How's it been? What? Let me ask you this, more pointed question. What is not like you expected it to be?
Ooh, people ask me all the time, like, what's it like being mayor? And it varies day to day, right? So if you've ever had children, you know, when your wife's pregnant with the first baby, everyone says, "Ooh, get your sleep now," because you don't know. And you're going into it, you realize how much work it's going to be. But even though people have warned you how much work a newborn baby is, it's still surprising the amount of work.
Right.
And it's very emotional work. I find myself, as opposed to my own business, which affects the customers, this affects a lot of people. And you're talking about people's lives and things they care about, their biggest investment, their home, the park that they take their children to. Those are very important things. So, you know, it seems a lot of the problems seem sort of, soft and fluffy. And it's customer service, it's listening. It's much more work. It's much more demanding of your time and your attention, meaning that on Saturday, every Saturday, all day Saturday, people want you to be at certain things. Funerals, people want you to be at funerals. It's like being a pastor. You want me to go to your grandma's funeral? I didn't know your grandma. You know, like,
still want you there.
Yes,
you're the city representative.
Right. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, they were a big person in the community. Like, so I have to go to their funeral now too? And so, it's a lot.
Drinking out of a fire hose.
It is. Very meaningful work. Very meaningful work is not supposed to be easy. And that's part of what makes it special. It's supposed to be hard.
We just had Doug Crosby in a couple of weeks ago filming a podcast, and it was his first year being a commissioner. And one of the things he said is, you know, everyone talks about it being part-time work, this, that. He said it's a full-time job.
It is.
You know, on top of if you've got another, like you maybe have 2 or 3 other full-time jobs.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a full-time job, 40 plus hours a week, and like drinking out of a fire hose, I would imagine.
It can be as many hours you want to, and you could also be asleep at the wheel and coast by with 10 and be someone who, but I don't think.
That's not you, though.
Yeah, and I think that's the vast majority of what we elected officials now. We have people who are there to do things, not there to coast. But complacency is human nature. Yeah. Right. And that's what we're talking about is complacency. So you're always fighting back the apathy of.
Well, I got that question out of the gate, but let me back up a little bit. So you're Panama City native, well, pretty much your whole life. Yeah, and got a legacy here with your parents and entrepreneurial and part of the community and all. Can you ever see yourself anywhere else?
No. No way.
Yeah. Panama City's home.
Certainly love to visit other places, but this is where I'm going to die. You're going to bury me here.
Yeah, that's great. So you've been in the tech industry for years.
Years, yeah.
And restaurant entrepreneur.
Restaurant.
Just name them for me if you can.
Yeah. So currently, locally, we have El Weirdo, which is our taco brew pub. History Class, which is sort of a traditional brew pub. Heroes Lounge.
What's Heroes Lounge?
It's a little liquor bar next to History Class. We bought the building next to it.
Okay.
I'm part owners in the Sap House with Chris Kramer and Kevin Wattenberger.
Sap House, more of just a events venue.
Events venue, and we rent that out. I get a lot of credit for businesses that I never opened. My sister's opened barbecue restaurant downtown. And other people, there's a boxing gym near my house downtown. People think I opened that. I did not. My whole life, I've gotten way more credit for things than I deserve. I get blamed for a lot of things too that I didn't do, but I get a lot of credit for things. So,
well, let's talk tech just a minute. So, what was your specialty, or what did you mostly do there?
Yeah, well, I came through.
Still do. Yeah,
I came through college 2000-ish, 2001-ish, and that was really the sort of the infancy of the internet. .com boom happened. I'm coming through school. People see this internet thing. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to make money from it. I was a graphic design major. I bounced around the computer science department, back to marketing. I wanted to be an art teacher and football coach. Is really what I wanted to be. But realized the internet was this toy that was going to be a thing. I didn't know what it was, but it hooked me in that it made me so curious of how it ran. What is a website? And then you saw this migration in the early 2000s from software built for your computer on your operating system to software built on the internet. And so my skill set is copywriting, design, user experience. It's often called UI or UX. I build customer support teams. I'm okay at writing software. I'm good at designing software, but I'm really good at building teams of people. And so we have 4 different companies now. And software companies are like any other company. You have to have certain departments and certain talent, and that's what I'm good at doing, building those. And then the sequence of what you're building and how to test it is also what I'm good at.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like the whole, I mean, not to make your head swell or anything, but like the Steve Jobs kind of
Oh
thing.
Lord, not
You know,
gonna be on my
but listen to what he said. This is interesting because you said something like he said, because someone once asked him, what do you do? You know, you're not the greatest software writer.
Right.
You're not the greatest designer. You know a little bit about everything, but what do you do? And he said, I'm like a conductor. He said, I play the symphony.
Yeah.
You know, I don't play the trumpet, but I tell the trumpet when to play.
Yeah.
I don't play the violin,
Sure.
but I tell the violin how loud to play.
Sure.
He said, I'm like the conductor. I play the symphony. And I think a lot of entrepreneurial people are that way. You got to know a little bit about everything. But the most thing you do is you got to know how to get the most out of people.
Every organization, no matter if you're a restaurant or I grew up in the car wash industry or a software company, it's all people, and people have problems. And a lot of times you have very talented people who can't get along and can't collaborate, and one person's not being heard. And it's about relationships and setting a vision and signaling to people. People like us do things like this. We listen, we collaborate. Software incentivizes people to make iterative small decisions and test their assumptions, which I really love. Software people are very curious people, which I really love. And it moves really quickly. The opposite is true for government. It moves very slow. You know, it trudges on. And so I'm learning new things about government, you know, bringing some business acumen, the little bit that I have, into government the best that I can.
Well, that brings up an interesting question. So, you know, service industry, restaurants, tech, and being the mayor. So what is the most challenging for you?
Oh, Lord.
Those three.
Definitely mayor. Software, you know, when I'm going to Piggly Wiggly or Aldi's or grocery shopping, no one's asking me about my software companies, but I'm getting pestered on, you know, where's the farmer's market moving to? Why isn't the grass cut here?
Oh, my goodness.
Today was getting tagged on Facebook of there's a claw truck picking up trash that's leaking hydraulic fluid around the cove, and I got tagged on that post. And so every week there's this new thing that explodes, and I deal with.
So it's the mayor thing, huh? And you know, it's very intrusive. You know, anyone that does public service, I mean, they open themselves up to a lot of stuff. Rough on your family.
It is,
rough on your life. I mean, it's part of it. I mean, I heard John Robbins say years ago, he said, it's a thankless job. You know, he was commissioner for years.
It is.
And he says, you know, every decision I make a friend and an enemy. And he said, and I didn't have the enemy before I had the job.
I know.
He said, it's like, so I'm collecting this long list of enemies of people that used to love me.
And a lot of people will be mad at you, and they don't understand the full thing, and they're not willing to ask a question because, you know, confirmation bias. They think that anyone serves the public is enemy, and you know, I'm trying my best. And it's very emotional decisions. Like, I really want to do the right thing. I really want people to look back, and I want to look back on this time and say I did the right thing, and that sort of stuff. But you could give away gold bars. And people would say, "Where's the silver bars?"
Where's the silver bars?
And so it's very tough. Serving people is never fair, whether you are a server at a restaurant or you are serving the community as an elected official.
You have to make decisions, and someone has to make them, and it's not always going to please everybody, and that's a hard thing.
It's tough.
So, what the similarities you see between building a company and building a thriving city? Would you say that the common denominator is just people? It's people business.
It's people, and what's funny about mayor stuff is the citizens, and this is true in any town, pay more attention to I've gotten more emails about where the farmer's market goes downtown than $5, $15, $20 million purchases that the city does. And it's kind of backwards. You think, you know, that's something.
Y'all are moving it around.
Yeah. And
so what inspired that, or what brought that on?
You know, farmers market's a beloved thing. Harrison Avenue, which is our main street, is beloved by people, and everyone feels, and they are entitled to their opinion. But people, citizens, and me included, before I was elected, I'd paid attention to things that I could see and touch versus budgetary things and true policy things. And so cities across America are desperate for citizen engagement of all the things, of budget, of hiring, of just policies. Like, pay attention, scrutinize local government. That is your job as a citizen. Your job is to scrutinize me. And that hurts. That hurts at times, right? Because in business, I can just say, hey, it's my money. I'm going to lose it.
That's why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't take someone with their finger in my face lecturing me.
It's tough.
It would be tough.
It's tough. But it's all of our money. All of us pay taxes, and it's all of our money. These are all of our parks. And you are entitled to your opinion. And, and that's your right.
So what inspired the whole downtown movement and vision? Is it the closeness, the gathering, the walkability? What's the
Yeah.
core of that vision?
Well, it didn't. My wife and I in 2015, 16, 17 had sold a few software companies, and we had some money, and we were like, I didn't really own any real estate beyond our own home in Kings Point. And I was like, well, what is this real estate stuff? So I dove into real estate, and just as I was looking at property across Bay County, I just noticed that downtown was, I thought, underpriced. It was $10 a square foot, $20 a square foot.
Really?
And I said, I'm going to buy some buildings. Bought one across the street over here at 809 Harrison. And people said, you're crazy. And I said, well, how much lower is it going to go than $10 a square foot? It can't go much lower.
It's pretty low.
And then I started studying towns and cities. And my business partner, Tim Whaler, is a city planner, part-time now, mostly runs the breweries with us. But I just started studying towns and realized that downtown Panama City has the exact same problems that any other Ocean Spring, Mississippi, Winter Garden, Winter Park, Sanford, Florida. All these cities have the exact same stories, and they all come back the same way. They focus on third spaces, gathering places for people. They, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, cars became the priority. More parking, tear down buildings, get rid of your plazas. Let's add parking. People aren't coming downtown because of parking. No, the mall in any city ripped out all the commerce from their downtown. It's the exact same story, and they all get put back the same way. They get put back by having events, restoring back
A need for people to be down there.
Yeah, and 100%. Downtowns are a true village. That's where your town started, and usually you have a little residential, little offices, little retail, little food and beverage. And what happens in that mix is if one takes over, then there's a gap during the day of activity, or at night there's activity. We had lots of office spaces downtown previously. We still have a few. We want them. But it was all activity during the day. At 5 o'clock, there's nobody downtown. And you need nightlife. You need residents. For one, those are your eyes to make sure people aren't doing nefarious things.
Yeah.
And then it keeps a symbiotic
Mixed use.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, the whole 30A concept, if you build any building, it's got to include some residential.
Yeah. People don't realize 30A, Seaside, spawned on this whole movement across America. The genesis of it it's called New Urbanism. Sweet Bay is based off of New Urbanism, which the literal start of it came from Seaside.
Really?
And it came from this sort of old school way that you build a town and design a town. Narrow streets, driving slow, makes them safer. The more you prioritize cars, the bigger the spaces are, the more you have to drive the cars. There's a whole book on the high cost of free parking by a guy named Donald Schloop. It's 700 pages. And
What's the name of it again?
The High Cost of Free Parking. It'll take you
read
like
it.
3 days to read it. And towns come back the exact same way. And most people think that they have unique problems personally and their business and their city. They think, all our problems are unique, but they really aren't. And a decision is an attempt at predicting the future. Any decision that you make.
Yeah.
What you eat for lunch or how fast you drive, it's a prediction of the future. And if you study other people who have been in similar situations, you can make your decision making a little bit tighter by studying what they did and where they messed up or where they succeeded. And so that's what I typically do. I just find case studies from other towns of what they did. I call other cities. I did that for 10 years, and I watched all the city meetings. I went to all the city stuff, and we changed ordinances. You couldn't have skateboarding downtown. You couldn't have murals downtown. You couldn't have awnings. You couldn't have outdoor seating. All these things that people love about downtown now, you couldn't have any of those things. And other towns have the exact same story of ours. They came back the exact same way. And now people are modeling our success downtown for other cities. They're looking at us going, Panama City can do it, we can do it.
The cityscape, it's turned out beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really pretty. And
Yeah.
as those trees mature, it'll become even more and more beautiful. I ate at Yard Bar the other day for the first time. I liked it. I liked what was done with the buildings and stuff that would have just been thrown away is being put to really, really good use.
Yeah.
And so I think that's neat.
Yeah, there's a story, and when you reuse things, there's actually a Japanese term called wabi-sabi, and it's a term that means there's a beauty in the imperfection of things.
Yes.
You look at an old truck that has a patina to it; it draws you in. Why does hand-painted pinstriping draw you in versus vinyl? Well, it's because there's hand lettering on a sign it draws you in, and it's not perfect. You think it would be the other way around. You think perfection would draw you in, but I think we're imperfect people. And so that draws you in. It's human nature to
It's
look.
got that personality.
Yeah,
you want that personality.
It has something behind it. It feels like a human has touched it. And so, when buildings cover up their old brick and the old brick has cracks in it, you lose that wabi-sabi, and it doesn't feel right. And so there's something beautiful about the imperfection of anything.
I think that's cool. I love it. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to connect your organization with an audience that is eager for inspiration? The My Big Comeback podcast, hosted by John R. Ramsey, shares powerful stories of resilience and redemption, featuring guests who have turned life setbacks into major comebacks. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month. For those interested in being a part of this community, sponsorship opportunities are now available. To learn more, contact Meredith Cobb at meredithcobbhwc@gmail.com. Let's make a big comeback together.
Hey, glad you're still with us. I'm here with Allan Branch, Mayor of Panama City, and so much more. And we've been talking about the city growth and how cities grow and why the stuff in Panama City is working and it's beautiful, and I appreciate that. You know, leadership and decision making comes to a lot of this. You have people have got they've got opinions, they've got ideas. Corralling that, steering that, getting it to be productive is hard, because a lot of what you have, if you ask someone's opinion, how do you like this coffee cup? You're going to get 100 different opinions. I hate it. It's the best world. And then it comes down to somebody's got to decide. So city government, has any of that surprised you, or has it worked smoother than you thought, or is it tougher than you thought?
It's way tougher because
Is it a consensus, or?
100%, because what happens is you'll ask for feedback, you'll host workshops. Hey, everybody, we're having a budgetary workshop, or we're having a workshop on parks. And then, okay, the workshop's done. We're making the decision now. And then after the decision's made, people go, well, no one asked me. And you say, well, we had all these Facebook posts. But the reality of business and government is, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, all you had to do was get on the news and in the paper, and everyone would know about something that happened. Yeah. Now it's my kids are on TikTok, on Instagram. There's not people reading the newspaper. So it's now there's 500 ways to contact with somebody, and they're like, "Well, no one asked me." And it's like, "Well, we put it on Facebook. It was in the paper. It was on the news. Yeah. What else do you? I don't know how else to, unless we start knocking on doors." So at some point, citizens should feel it's their responsibility to engage and scrutinize. I mean that sincerely, because it's expensive to communicate on 14, 15 different platforms. Instagram, TikTok, all email newsletter, text alerts, all the things. So.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I find a lot of times when you have too many decisions, you get too many answers. So it's almost like you've got to narrow it down to where this or this.
Analysis paralysis.
I mean, if I went to the church, we're building a new church. If I went to them and say, "What color carpet do you want?" Well, you're going to get 100. You're going to get 100 different ideas. Where if you say, "Look, these are the 3 colors we're going with. Which one do you like the best?" Sure. It's just narrowing it down, and not to take away choices, but to make it productive, to make it keep moving, to make it, and it's hard when you've got that many citizens that all want to. I know some of the challenges, which I'm not going to bring up. Yeah. That the city faced this past year. People very, very passionate about their idea. And of course, their idea is the right one. And the guy on the other side has the completely opposite idea and just as passionate about it. And it comes down to somebody's got to make a decision. Yeah. So
in government, there's a term that you want to avoid, which is the illusion of choice. Yeah. Right. Which is like, oh, you get these 2, but you really just get this one. Yeah. And you really do want feedback. One of the harder problems in any business and any organization is when you give someone the option, they want the best and they want the coolest thing. And in government, I get 30 ideas a week that are, we should build this $80 million, $200 million facility. And I'm like, I don't even know how to fund that. Yeah. Because, in the reality with cities and businesses, cities go bankrupt when they build big, beautiful things. And so you get to be very careful. Just like buying a brand new big house, a lot of people can afford the new house initially. Yeah. And then the roof starts breaking and so you can set yourself up and future generations and future administrations in your city by rushing too quickly to spend money. Yeah.
I have an old saying, because people always ask me things like, "Can we do this in our church? Can we do that and this?" And I always tell them, anything can be done. All it takes is time and money.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And so the question is not whether can we do it, it's how much would that cost and how long would it take? Right. Because those are your deciding factors. It's not that we can build a bridge to the moon, if we want to, but it's not worth the time and the money to do it.
Yeah, and in software, we always say we only have a certain amount of horsepower in the development team. Like there's only a certain amount of developers we have, and so you can pick one idea, you just can't pick all the ideas. Yeah. So you can get one of the 3, kind of thing. And so, you want to sequence things properly.
So tell me about your day. So you wake up, where do we start your day?
Oh, Lordy. Today, I'll just use it as an example. Today, I got up at 4 in the morning. I had an 8 a.m. city commission meeting, and I wanted to make sure I had read through the agenda packet again. The agenda packet's contracts, it's,
Big
resolutions.
contracts.
Yeah, millions.
Hundreds of pages.
We had probably 1.4 million in change orders I had to read through and contracts. And so, I studied for about 3 hours. The joke is, if I would have studied this much and read this much in college, I would have been a brain surgeon. And so, today was a city meeting, lasted 2.5, 3 hours. Interview with the news after that, and phone calls, emails. And then I finally got to do some of my other work.
Yeah,
about
because you still got to do the other work.
I did.
Yeah.
So I get back home about noon. I eat lunch at my desk, and I have 40 emails to get through of my normal job. And so every day is different. There's a new. The hard part in government to me is there's a new sort of some new thing that's happened that I'm completely unaware. Today was the hydraulic thing on the truck, and so a few weeks ago it was something else. So you just get blown up of like, wait, what's happening? And I didn't know that was even a thing yet. So there's all these surprises because you're dealing with a 100-year-old organization that has decades of let's say less than ideal customer support. Yeah. And you are fixing government when you are elected. You are literally fixing problems created by other people. Yeah. You're lucky if you get to work on your own ideas. Yeah. and so you spend a lot of time apologizing for 20 years ago they did this, and I wasn't the mayor 20 years ago, but I'm sorry that this happened, and how do we find a resolution moving forward? And so it's a leadership position, which is often apologizing for things that you didn't do, and you have to be okay with that.
Thinking of red lights, buzzers going off on infrastructure, what would be the greatest need in Panama City right now, infrastructure-wise?
Sure. Yeah, we are so blessed to have Jay Trumbull Jr. At the Senate right now and head of appropriations, because he unlocked the door. They literally created. We have for the 80s and 90s, the city saved up some money because we were not paying for deferred maintenance of infrastructure. We have clay pipes in this town.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not just like a little bit, I'm the lots.
It was bad.
Yeah. And Hurricane Michael came through and destroyed those systems.
Decided for you.
Decided for us, yeah. And so, and then Jay Trumbull went and created a whole program at the state level that allows us to it's called the State Revolving Fund. It should be called the State Loan Program for infrastructure. Yeah. It's a 0% interest loan, 25% of it gets forgiven. And if Jay hadn't have gone out and done all that work to create that program, we couldn't raise the property taxes high enough. There's a cap on property. We would have to start cutting major services to afford the infrastructure projects that we have. So when you see a road that's closed and a tractor that's pulling up the road, that creates an inconvenience. And we're having to live through inconveniences for 2 to 3 years. Yeah. But we are literally getting 40 years of infrastructure in this town done in the next 2 years. Which makes it where when you're driving your kids to soccer practice and the road used to be there, it's not there anymore. Yeah. People's front yards are getting tore up to put new pipes in. Those are all pains in the butts, inconveniences, but it's huge. So I wish I could just snap my finger and everything would get put back, because we all want new infrastructure. It's kind of like remodeling your house when you live in it.
While you live in it.
While you live in it, it's very inconvenient, but when it's done, it'll be nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, living there in Sweet Bay, the whole 390 project, it's been a maze to go through, but the parts that are done now is real nice.
It is.
I mean, I can get across town real quick. It's worth it. It is. But it's sometimes a long walk.
Oh, I was even leaving my own home downtown at the farmer's market 3 weeks ago, and I got lost. I couldn't. There was so many roads that were closed. It was like, this is frustrating, but that inconvenience is worth it. And we'll have infrastructure that's that we didn't have to carry a loan. Well, we're carrying the loan currently until we roll off the state revolving fund. But it's Jay Trumbull Jr. He did a yeoman's effort to get that done for us.
That's great.
We should be throwing a parade for him.
Well, I asked some of the other community officials about the whole idea the governor has about doing away with some property taxes. Yeah. Some people are misinformed that it's all property taxes. It's not. It's just your homestead property tax. That would change the formula at the city for funding. How much would it affect you?
We would if they snapped their fingers and took away property taxes, you would literally have to cut half a fire, half a police, no park system. And so
even just homestead exemption property tax.
Well, so I'll give you a percent. We spend $140 million a year. 18 million of it comes from property taxes. The fire department costs $18 million. The police department costs about $18 million. What I would like to see, and so the problem with that, when you hear that much number come from property taxes, most of the money of Florida cities flows through the sales taxes of Florida. So we have so many tourists that pay so much money in sales tax, we don't have to have a state income tax. That means most of your cities and counties across Florida are funded through Tallahassee. So we are all, every municipality across Florida are hiring lobbyists to go to Tallahassee, trying to work deals to get money to pay for fire trucks, boat ramps, all the things. That's why you keep hearing things go, that's a state appropriation, that's a grant. The problem, in my opinion, with that, and removing more property taxes would do this. It would send more funding, all of your funding, through Tallahassee, which means, well, you and I were teenagers at some point, whenever you get a gift card, you spend the money a little differently than it's money that you've earned. Yeah. And when money flows through Tallahassee, it is someone else's tax money. And cities and municipalities across Florida don't treat it with the level of care that I think we all should. Yeah. What I'd like to see is more of what Alabama has, which is our lower property taxes, but the ability for states or cities and counties to create their own sales taxes. Yeah. Then they have their own funding mechanism that they hold on to. Yeah. They don't have to hire lobbyists to go get money for boat ramps and for bridges and beg and plead. I don't like the idea that you may own your home and pay it off and you still pay property taxes. I don't like that feeling either.
It's tough on older people.
It
really is.
100%. Yeah. But I really, really, really don't like the idea of Tallahassee telling us how to run our cities. Yeah. That goes against home rule.
It would put more control to the state.
More control to the state.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
agreed.
That's rough.
So I like the sales taxes. I wish Florida would open that up. I don't think we're going to end up seeing sales tax or property taxes go away, in my opinion, because unless you don't like boat ramp, I don't know how if we lost property taxes. I don't know. It would be catastrophic to every city across Florida, not Panama City, every single city.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, he's super serious about it. The governor is. Yeah. But I've not heard the answer of exactly how. Yeah. It's a great idea. How does it work? Yeah. It's like seeing the bumblebee fly. We're not sure how that happens.
Sure. I think it's a really interesting conversation. And I would model, I don't like state income taxes, and we're lucky to have such a state that tourists, pay a lot of our bills. I want to see cities spend money, and it should be much like when you buy a car for yourself. It's painful to spend money. Yeah, I don't like spending money, and so when the money flows to Tallahassee, you get it's a grant, it's free money. No, it's not free money. It's someone's money. We should take great care with it.
So let's talk about the future of Panama City. Mm-hmm. Like what's on the runway? I know we got a big overpass coming for 231 Harrison Avenue. What else am I not thinking of right now?
Oh my goodness. I think there's going to be a lot of big announcements in the next 120 days related to some bigger projects across Panama City. The marina, downtown marina, will in the next we're going to go out to bid probably next week or so for the first 44 boat slips. But you'll see small progress on the marina. It'll be 5, 6, 7 years to get the marina back with all the the parking and the railing and the lights and all the things back. But you'll see a lot of movement in the downtown marina. The biggest changes, we like to point out these big, huge things in life, but health, wealth, your businesses, they're all run on 10,000 little decisions. Panama City needs to be focused on putting back homes on infill lots, meaning there are lots of land all over Panama City, parcels that used to have a house on it. That the infrastructure's there and there's a driveway and there used to be something there. We need to put those back. We need to be incentivizing people to put those back. And most cities rush to annex more land and more land and more land, and that's the opposite approach.
Let's use the land we've got. Already has utilities.
It already has utilities on it, yeah. And then you don't have these gaps of there's someone camping out on that doing drugs, and then you have code enforcement. It is strong. If you're fascinated by cities and organizations, Strong Towns is a blog that focuses on sustainability of cities and these counties. Is really interesting.
What's the best idea to make that happen, though? Is it low interest loans? Is it grants?
Yeah, we could do all kinds of stuff. So Panama City has CRA districts. This is actually our location right here is in the CRA district. And the CRA district could do its own borrowing pool. Cities do pattern books. So if you look at all the houses sort of around Oakland Terrace, around the port, they have, and even the Cove, there's very similar layouts. So you actually can have a lot of cities, Groveland, Florida is one, St. Pete, they have pattern books, which is literally a catalog of homes, duplexes, triplexes, or mixed-use buildings that you can go into and say, I want to build that. And they say, cool, you can have the plans for $100 versus having to go through an architect, and it's stamped, ready to go, works for that lot, and it can speed up development. So you can lower the costs to developers by providing them, and they can still change the windows and the shutters and the front porch and the things like that. But it speeds up development. So instead of giving someone cash to incentivize them, you can incentivize them through helping them out with plans and expediting. Even expediting paperwork, people will gravitate towards that city. You'll see a slow unwinding of cities financially when they have a bad reputation of not being good to developers and investors, of just being like, it takes us 6 months to get back to you. It's too hard to build there. Bingo. And so how do you make it to where your city brings people closer to their version of success? Yeah. And that's usually not through one or two big things. It's through just the organizational health of how fast you reply to emails. How do you make sure that, so one of the things I do is every 90 days, anyone who has a development order of the city that hasn't pulled building permits, I email them. Anyone who has a project that's working on it, I email them and say, if you have any questions, if you have any issues, you please contact me directly.
That's wonderful. And
so it's sales, right? That's what a salesperson does. Yeah. My job is to ensure that people investing in Panama City feel appreciated and that their questions are answered quickly and thoroughly so they have a clear path to get that thing open. Yeah. And so that's the job in that instance, is it's sales.
I moved here in 1980. My father took a job out at Tyndall. He was Air Force for 21 years, and then he did civil service out at Tyndall. And of course, back then Melville was in the 80s. It was I don't know. It was in between. It hadn't gone down as much as it had, but it hadn't come to the Renaissance time. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing some changes over there that I really like, because it's some of the most beautiful water.
It is.
I mean, Melville has some nice places, and I think they're forgotten about, and I think people try to move away from the paper mill or this and that, which, the paper mill was very important to this community.
Sure.
And so, there's some changes going on over there, but I like some of the things I'm seeing. I think it's neat. And I think there's a lot of hidden gems in Panama City that
100%.
People don't know about.
Millville, my 19-year-old son just bought a piece of property at Millville across from Sweet Magnolias.
Yeah.
So, you look at that little main street. That was a main street. Yeah. It still is. And so that neighborhood has what they call good bones.
Yeah.
Right? And so it needs some third spaces. It needs places for people to hang out. And then you get a couple younger couples there. And how do you change the tide on investing? Investing is about giving, when in real estate, they call them comparables, comps. And so the person that creates the comp, when there is no comp to create something, investors don't want to, I can't predict the future. There's no comps. A bank doesn't. This building right here, these buildings would not have been able to borrow if it wasn't for 8 or 9 Harrison across the street. There was no rental comps. Yeah. So banks were like, well, I'm not going to lend you any money because no one rents in that area. And so the first person has to create a comp which builds the confidence, and money follows confidence. Yeah. And so I am very bullish on Millville, and it is a gem.
Yes.
Historic platting, alleyways, small lots near the water. It has a main street. I love Lynn Haven's not in Panama City, but they have a similar little main street right there, Florida Avenue.
Really nice.
And so you look at what Millville could be. I think Lynn Haven's a few years ahead of Millville, but Ocean Springs is a very close example of a bedroom community that's on a main street. You look at our Harrison Avenue; it's mostly commerce around it. It's not really a bedroom community on the main street. Millville is, Lynn Haven is, Ocean Springs, Mississippi is as well. So that's the model. So and Ocean Springs, and there's a story in every single town of a person coming in very early, buying a piece of property when no one else would. And they said, no one else wanted property here. And there was all these bad things happening in this neighborhood. And I was first, and I saw these good bones 5 years, 10 years before anyone else. That story happens in every town. It just takes someone with a little bit of gusto.
That's a good way to put that. Good bones. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Heroes Child is a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help community heroes with the everyday cost of childcare. We know that heroes like our military personnel, first responders, and foster families need care for their children. Heroes Child awards these families scholarships that go to help pay their childcare tuition. Use the QR code on the screen to donate now or visit heroeschild.org today.
Hey, I'm having a conversation with Panama City Mayor Allan Branch, and I'm telling you that we've been talking about the city, we've been talking about development, talking about software, but I need to turn the corner and get a little more personal with you now.
Yeah.
So tell me, what if you had to say, this was my most challenging moment in life, where was it? What was your most challenging moment?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if there's one. There's certainly been lots of hard things. I am the most down on myself when I feel like I'm letting others down.
Yeah.
And so delivering on I always want to be a good teammate. And, the mindset of, I played offensive line in high school and college, and the role of an offensive lineman is to set up wins for other people.
Yeah.
If you do your job right as an offensive lineman, you will hurt yourself or someone else to open a hole on the defensive line for the running back to score on and take all the glory. And I'm totally cool with that. So my worst moments are when I feel like I'm not getting my block in life.
Yeah.
Like I'm the one that's letting someone down. They're waiting on me. The mayor stuff, usually before a big commission meeting, I don't sleep very well because I'm thinking about what I want to say. And I want to say things gracefully on the dais, and I don't want to be rude to people, or it's hard to have a different opinion than your colleagues and not be rude to them and be gracious but steer the direction of the conversation back to an idea that you're trying to have. And so I don't know if I have one moment that has defined me. That's been hard. It's hard every week. It's hard. There's various times,
Yeah, I've heard before that good government doesn't always agree, but it disagrees respectfully.
Yeah,
That's a tough thing.
Every great organization has a gas pedal and a brake.
Yeah.
Someone that wants to go fast and someone that's saying, whoa, slow down. Have you thought about this? Because either way, you're reckless. If you have all gas pedal, you're reckless. If you're all brake, you're reckless.
That's right. That's right. So, as far as like your person, what do you like to do? What's your hobbies?
Well, I used to have a lot of hobbies. I used to be a beekeeper. I still have my hobbies, but all my bees are dead.
Interesting.
Yeah, we redid a 30-foot sailboat. Spent 3 months doing that. I used to sail a lot. Don't sail anymore. Yeah. But my son and I currently scuba dive and spearfish.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we do about 40 dives a year. I spent a lot of time in high school gyms right now with wrestling, high school wrestling.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of kids are 19 and 17, so it was high school band and high school wrestling, and that was most weekends.
And your daughter Sarah just won state.
She got 8th at state. We're very proud of her. And
wrestling.
My son's going to Haney, and he's learning how to repair boats.
Fantastic.
I love just. I'm a youth football coach for a little under 6 football team.
Yeah.
And it's not much technique. It's mostly just mopping up tears and my belly hurts, coach. And, it's just being fun, good to kids. And I love that. And so, I don't really have, my hobby is just giving back now. And maybe that's this chapter of life. And
that's all right. That's a good hobby.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something about diving. Like if I was new to this community and didn't know the dives around here, what would you tell a diver to go see? What's the dive?
Yeah, well, if you've never been diving, most of your dive shops, I go to Panama City Diving, they have a Discover Scuba course, which is really like a glorified snorkeling.
Yeah.
So if you like snorkeling and you'll probably love diving, it's a totally different experience. It feels like you're flying underwater. And they'll take you in the jetties and about, you'll start out in like 6 feet of water and they'll teach you and then they take you in about 10 feet of water so you can kind of get the idea before you take actual courses. But we have really cool dives. There are wrecks. We're going to have one of the largest wrecks the largest wreck in the world is being put out right outside of Destin. The steamship.
The steamship.
Yeah, I mean, it would take someone 30 dives to get through that ship. I mean, it's you could spend a lifetime exploring it. What's cool about diving is you can go to the exact same wreck the next day. It's different conditions, different fish. It's a totally different experience. And so, right now we're doing a lot of spear fishing. So we're not doing a lot of the wrecks are fished too much. And so we're going to like bridge spans or rubble packages and things like that. And so, I mean, we've seen all kinds of stuff, octopuses and little nurse sharks and all the critters and, sea turtles and, dolphins swimming by you and barracudas. And it's amazing. Yeah.
So what do we read these days? What do you like to read?
Well, I read the Daily Stoic every day. It's one of my favorite books. I'm actually reading right now The Greatest Sentence Ever Written. It's about the first line of the Constitution. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't read much these days. I listen all the time.
I go for walks. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks. My favorite books are probably Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. Not the art of war, but the war of art, which is really about your brain and how it prioritizes simple tasks that you can't get judged on. And you often avoid scary tasks because you're worried about judgment.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a really great read. Anything written by Seth Godin, Godin. He wrote The Purple Cow. He wrote a bunch of bestsellers. They're very short little books about marketing and just kind of contrarian thinking. Seth Godin has an incredible blog. If you just Google Seth, you'll find his blog. He's a best-selling author. I bounce around. Well, I tell you, I had a friend that ran a marathon, and he said, yeah, I listened to audiobooks. I said, what'd you listen to? He said, I listened to a biography of every president, starting with George Washington all the way to Trump. I thought, wow, that makes you sound cool. Because you start going on about like Coolidge and all these different presidents. I'm like, I got to do that.
Some interesting people.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. So, but he said what was interesting about those books is every president goes through a hardship, usually personal, in that presidency, and you would assume that they're kind of untouchable, that they're only focused, but they lose children, they lose parents, they lose all the things. They go through their own sicknesses. And that was an interesting perspective he gained. But I've always wanted to go through every president. I thought that'd be kind of cool. Makes you sound smart too.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes was from a book where the fellow said that he said, when he was first asked about politics, he told him, no way. He said, I'm a businessman, and it's a different world. In politics and business, one thing I'll never do is politics. Of course, the guy was Donald Trump.
What I said too.
Donald Trump. Yeah. And, it is a different world.
It is.
It is a different world. And I think sometimes more challenging for someone that's used to being a businessman and being able to just say, this is what I want done and do it. Now you've got to convince these 460 other people to go with you, and they've all got their agendas.
Well,
it makes it tough.
And our government was set up in the most collaborative ways. There's nothing that's more efficient than a dictatorship, because a dictator says, we're all wearing red shirts, and then everyone the next day gets red shirts. But our government has so many checks and balances, even at the city level. There are things like I have no purview over. I have 3 employees at the city. I can't tell staff to do anything besides 3 people, and they'll be like, oh, I don't work for you. Right. Really? And they do that because what you don't want in government is a dictatorship. There's layers of collaboration. And so, but collaboration means you have to be precise with your words. You have to be good with people. You have to be likable to get that idea across the finish line. Relentless, all those things. In business, the closest thing you can get to it would be working with a board of directors in your business and having and you being a COO and having to convince them of what you're trying to do. That'd be about as close as you get to government.
What do you feel about term limits? Do you think it works for us or against us?
Term limits shift. I used to be super into term limits. Like, gotta have term limits. But now realizing it, and what's been told to me through experience of congressmen and stuff, is that you shift the power, the authority, the knowledge base of how things work into the staff. And so it takes you 8, 9, 10 years to know how even the systems work, because staff holds the power. You get elected and you just get blamed for everything. Yeah. And you're like, just try, and it's staff that holds it. So term limits is good. What you don't want is someone who gets comfortable in their seat. How do you keep complacency? And I think you do that by, running in the local elections or running elections in general and forcing people to have hard conversations. Because in government, your job is not to run from hard conversations, is to accept them.
Is the old saying that all politics are local, is it true?
Well, they say the high, local government is the lowest government, but it's the highest of actually doing something. Everything else is actually policies, and people don't really understand how they affect them. This is parks and roads and taxes and schools and all the things like that. So
where people live.
Yeah, that's as close to home as it gets, right? Home is where the heart is.
Affecting my house.
Right. And they see that every day versus something else, Iran stuff. That isn't, gas prices a little bit, but not like my park in my neighborhood's gone. That kind of thing. People get upset about the parks and those sort of things. So I don't know. I'm new to government. I'm definitely not a career politician. People say, you're going to keep working your way up.
This is your first time holding office this year.
Oh, yeah. That's the first year. I don't want it to be a thing that defines who I am the rest of my life. This is going to be a chapter of my life. I'm not doing anything else besides this. And everyone's like, you're going to go to state rep.
Oh, you don't have any other political aspirations. This is it.
No,
really?
No. I feel like the effort, the higher tier, the upper, those positions, you get more and more disconnected from people, and I'm here to serve people, not policies and parties.
The old saying that the best answer is the one closest to home. I believe that. Yeah. I believe that bureaucracy, because the bigger we see something get, the less personal it is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm a big states' rights person. Mm-hmm. I feel like the less we ship out to Washington, the better. Yeah. And then statewise to the county, local is local. And I think that a lot of people lose that. But is there a shortage of people wanting to serve? Is that why it gets thrown to the bigger venue?
Well, I think that I think there's a lack of people realizing how moldable their community is through participation in general. Whether you run or just show up to meetings or send emails, you have no idea. Like, all the elected officials read Facebook comments and they love emails, send emails. But people should feel encouraged to run. The hard part is the money is terrible, and it should be. That's what service is. It should be bad money. But the scrutiny is so high, and they also want you to be young, right? So I'm 45, and so you're like, okay, so I'm going to give up my prime money-making years to get my reputation ruined, to make no money.
Enemies.
Yeah, and so it's like, at some point, if it becomes so bad, with just reputation-wise, and people saying nasty things about you on social media, no one rational and kind is going to want to do this. And so you're going to create such a hostile environment where only people who are there to do nefarious things are going to do it. Because at some point, it's like, why would I ever go through that when I can it's so much easier building businesses, making money, to find some nefarious path in government. It's so much easier just to be a businessman and build your own business. Because there's so much scrutiny and transparency. I have to post how much I make and what I own. Things that you would never disclose.
A lot of people in your business.
Oh yeah. And why on earth? I make $45,000 a year for this job.
Yeah. I can see it being a hard spot to fill.
Yeah.
Because I know why there's a shortage.
Yeah.
And people want to serve because it is difficult to serve.
You do not do it because of the money.
You don't do it because of the money.
Definitely not.
So let me ask you one last question here. We're talking about your bucket list.
Yeah.
What's the top 3 things on Allan's bucket list of things? Just forget about time constraints. And what would you like to do? What would you like to go see? Where would you like to go?
Oh my gosh!
What would you like to do?
I would love to be go to another country, and I've done this. We used to spend a month in Costa Rica every year, and I did some Spanish immersion training, and I would love to do that again, and just see how fast I can absorb a language. I'd also love to go follow a Major League Baseball team from spring training and literally move next to the stadium and go to listen to the podcast and go to the bar and have season tickets and know everyone around you and just go fanatical. Yeah. And I think that's so. You see, both of them are about me inundating myself into something, and so I just immersion in a sport and immersion into a culture. But I feel like I'm living my bucket list now. Financially independent, and I'm creating jobs with other people, and I love the people I work with. I'm serving people, and I'm hoping, and I know I'm gonna look back on this time fondly and appreciative of how hard it is. Because when you do hard things, you come out better.
Well, I think it's great. I think what's happening in Panama City is great. I like what I'm seeing, and I'm enjoying it. And I've enjoyed talking to you. Absolutely. Very knowledgeable, very pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah.